Hello, my name is Lauren Greer, and I am here today to talk to you about rape culture. While I know that topic is shocking and intimidating, I feel like it's something that needs to be talked about, and especially as educators. I've worked in the school district for 4 years, and I feel like it's our duty to address this issue within our schools as we are raising the Americans of tomorrow. And believe it or not, this is actually very relevant to our students today, ranging from elementary all the way up to high school. So what is rape culture? What do I mean when I say rape culture? The definition of rape culture is a society or environment whose prevailing social attitudes have the effect of normalizing or trivializing sexual assault and abuse. While that wordy definition definitely covers all of the bases, I want to give you a few more relatable examples of what I mean when I say rape culture. Rape culture is girls needing pepper spray to walk around a college campus. Rape culture is the fact that boys choose to not talk about being raped by a man in fear that they'll be called gay or wimpy for not being able to protect themselves. Rape culture is women keeping sexual assault claims to themselves in fear of ruining their reputation or their attackers. Rape culture is jokes about inmate rape in prison. Rape culture is no that secretly means yes, or a no that needs further explanation to actually mean no. Rape culture is no being more likely accepted when accompanied by proof of belonging to another man. Okay, so now that you understand what I mean by rape culture, hopefully, we're going to move on and diagnose that there actually is a problem in America with rape culture. So how often does it happen? How often are Americans sexually assaulted or raped? Did you know that the U.S. is ranked number 13 in the world for rape? Every 98 seconds, an American is assaulted. 1 in 6 women is the victim of attempted or completed rape. And on a college campus, 1 in 4 women is raped. 1 in 71 men are raped. And on a college campus, that stat raises to 1 in 16 men. So why aren't Americans freaking out about this, right? Like, these are crazy numbers and really high percentages. Like, why aren't we freaking out about it? Well, 60% of rapes are not reported, meaning less than half at 40% are actually reported. And an estimated 400,000 rape kits are in American police stations untested, meaning we have evidence of 400,000 possible rapes and convictions that could be happening, but police are not pursuing the attacker. 97% of rapists do not spend 1 day in jail. 97%. Rapists can have custody of children in 31 states. Conviction does not always mean that you're automatically on the sex offender status either. Sometimes you get probation or a hefty $2,000 fine. So why aren't more women or victims coming forward when they're sexually assaulted or raped? And that's because many victims are shamed or questioned in doubt. Oftentimes they're accused of overreacting or inducing the attack themselves. And then many times they're intimidated into silence altogether. 50% of rapes are believed to be false when reported. However, research shows that only 2 to 5% are found false. So is it really that big of a deal though? I mean, move on, right? Well, 94% of victims experience PTSD in the following 2 weeks of a rape. 13% of rape victims attempt suicide. Sexual violence is normalized in the media through misogynistic language and objectification. Offenders are oftentimes just being boys or engaging in locker room talk. Rape is one of the only crimes in which the victim's body is used as a weapon against them. This causes major psychological harm. Sexual crimes violate the victim's body and sense of humanity, oftentimes shattering all sense of self-worth and identity. Now that we've identified that there is a problem in America, let's talk about a way to actually treat it, like preventatively stop this from happening. Because why would you wait for something to happen to then fix it? So, as a country, what do? To end rape culture, we have to address it correctly. We have to stop teaching women and girls how to not get raped and start teaching people to not rape other people. We need to change the societal norms that tolerate or justify sexual violence. This is simple. Stop supporting people that support sexual violence. We need to start listening to survivor stories and support them. Rape is not a sexual or impulsive act. It's about power and control. We need to start listening to the victims and supporting them in order to empower more people to come forward. We also need to start shifting our ideas of what masculinity is as a society. We need to break the ties that masculinity is linked to sexuality. We also need to shift our values from women to their sexual purpose, to their contributions to society. I also think that sexuality should not be defined in terms of power or obligation. Men should not find their sense of power from sex, and women should not feel obligated to have sex. Sexual assault is a symptom of the problem, and the problem is how boys are taught to think and treat women. While I'm very aware that sexual assault and rape happens to all different types of people, LGBTQ, men, women, focusing mostly on rape or sexual assault on women, I think that it's very important to address how men or young boys are taught to think about or to treat women in general. So what do you do from a school district in Henderson, Texas? How do you treat this? What do you do to make a difference? And I think the answer is an emotional education. I think we should shift our focus from test scores onto our emotional education for the children. I know I'm preaching to the choir about test scores, but I do think it's so important that we start engaging children emotionally and investing in our students in their minds other than test scores. Number one, don't be afraid to talk about sex with your students. With the internet and social media, they probably know more than you do about sex, so you're not going to teach them anything. Just don't be scared to talk to them about it. I think it's very important to have these conversations with educated people while they can. Anyways, so don't be scared to talk to them. Second, sex ed. Guys, we have got to update it to the 21st century. We have got to have equal representation for all types of people, genders, race, sexual identity, all of those things need to be represented in our sex ed classes. I also think that sex ed should start before middle school. These days, children have so much access to so much misinformation out there that I think that appropriately we need to start addressing it within the schools in order to properly educate and to mold their minds properly before the internet does it for us. Very importantly, I think that these talks or this emotional education needs to be focusing more on empowering boys to write their own definition of manhood. This should not be a bashing or a shaming thing. I think that it should be something that empowers them. I think that sexual assault or rape often stems from a broken self-identity and a lack of self-respect. And so we need to be teaching our boys to switch out of autopilot and think beyond what media has told them is cool. And right now that's just to have sex with a lot of girls. And so we need to just empower them to think beyond what everyone else thinks is cool. We need to teach authentic confidence outside of performance, popularity, and possessions. Right now, our boys are so tied to how good they are at sports or at school and how popular they are in all of their possessions, including girls. And I think that we need to learn to shift that to a more healthy sense of confidence and to drive that from more healthy places. Another way to teach properly is to humanize other humans. I think that we as a society have come so accustomed to viewing people through a screen that we have dehumanized people altogether. And so I think learning to put faces on victims. Many times we say, you know, like, well, this isn't really happening here in our school, and we like to say that's going to happen later. Well, if it's not addressed now, these are the people that are going to grow up and suffer or offend other people. And so I think it's important to address it now. Also, I think it's important for you to know that it is happening in your schools. There is sexual predators in elementary school. There are, coming from other students, I might add, there's sexual intimidation, and then there's girls that are scared to speak out about sexual abuse, and there are boys that are raping girls before a football game on Friday night. These are things that are happening here in your school, and they need to be addressed. Like I said, humanizing other humans, putting a face to it. Like, this could be your mother. This woman is the same type of human as your sister is. This could just as easily be your cousin in that video that you're circulating. But above all else, I think it's so important to teach and model self-respect so that our students are able to give respect to others. If students aren't shown how to respect themselves, they're not going to be able to extend that to other people. And like I said, I think that as educators, we could have a huge impact, not only on our students, but on our community and a country as a whole, if we will take time to just address these things and to remold and to reprogram our students when it comes to sex or respecting others. Thank you.